Before Zeus ruled Olympus, before heroes like Hercules walked the earth, there was chaos. But what exactly was chaos, and how did the world as we know it come from it? Today, we're diving into the origins of Greek mythology, the story of chaos, Gaia, and the mighty Titans. Long before the familiar pantheon of Greek gods walked the earth or ruled the skies, before Mount Olympus became the stage for divine drama and mortal adventures, there existed a state unlike anything we can easily imagine: chaos. The Greeks did not see chaos as mere darkness or a simple empty space. It was far more complex, mysterious, and essential. Chaos was the primordial void, a boundless expanse of potential, a raw canvas waiting to be shaped. It was the absence of order but also the seed of everything that would come to exist, the very origin of creation. In this emptiness, nothing had form, name, or function. There were no laws of nature, no distinctions between matter and spirit, no heavens or earth. Yet, from this formlessness, the first entities of the cosmos began to emerge. Chaos was not a god in the sense we usually think of gods. It did not possess consciousness in a human-like way, nor did it have desires, intentions, or personality. Instead, chaos represented the fundamental state of existence before creation. It was a concept that allowed the Greeks to explore the mysteries of origin. How something could arise from nothing, how structure could emerge from formlessness, and how the universe could be born from an undefined, infinite void. Some scholars describe chaos as a kind of cosmic womb, pregnant with potential, from which the first primordial beings, the archetypes of existence, would eventually emerge. From this swirling nothingness came the first primordial beings, each representing essential aspects of reality and existence. First among them was Gaia, the earth itself. Gaia was not merely land or soil. She was the living embodiment of the earth, nurturing and sustaining all that would come after her. She represented stability, fertility, and life, a grounding force in the otherwise chaotic cosmos. Alongside Gaia, other primordial entities came into being, each symbolizing a fundamental aspect of the universe. Tartarus emerged, representing the abyss, a deep, dark chasm that would later become the prison for the most dangerous divine beings and monsters. Tartarus symbolized not just physical depth but also the terrifying, unfathomable aspects of existence, the hidden and threatening powers lurking beneath the surface of reality. Next came Eros, not the playful god of romantic love that later myths would depict, but the primal force of desire and attraction, the energy that binds matter and life together. Eros in this early form represented the driving force of creation itself, the irresistible pull that draws things together to form new structures and beings. Without this primordial Eros, the universe could not organize itself, nothing could come into being. Then there was Nyx, the embodiment of night. Nyx was darkness, but not mere absence of light. She was the eternal night, a force both protective and terrifying, shrouding the cosmos in mystery. Alongside her came Erebus, the darkness of the underworld, the shadowy space through which all souls would eventually pass. Together, Nyx and Erebus represented the dual aspects of darkness: the unknown above and the unknown below, the night sky and the depths beneath the earth. From chaos, then, arose not just these beings but also the principles that would shape the universe. It was from chaos that the dichotomy of order and disorder began, from which the eternal struggle between creation and destruction, light and darkness, life and death, would emerge. This primordial void was the stage upon which the cosmic drama would unfold, setting the scene for Gaia to birth the Titans, for Uranus to cover the sky, and for the later generations of gods to inherit the world. In essence, chaos was the raw material of existence, the invisible fabric of reality itself. Everything that followed, the earth beneath our feet, the sky above our heads, the seas, the stars, and even the very concept of time, was born from this primeval emptiness. Understanding chaos allows us to glimpse the ancient Greeks' vision of the cosmos. A universe that begins not with order, but with boundless possibility. A universe where creation emerges from the unknown, where life, conflict, and divine drama are inevitable consequences of a world that began in nothingness. So, when we talk about the origins of Greek mythology, we must start here, with chaos, the infinite void, the source of all potential, and the womb from which the first forces of the cosmos emerged. Without chaos, there would be no Gaia, no titans, no gods, and no stories. Chaos is the beginning of everything, a concept both terrifying and beautiful, and the foundation upon which the rich tapestry of Greek mythology is built. After chaos had given birth to the primordial forces, the first truly tangible being of the cosmos emerged: Gaia, the living earth. She was not simply land or soil, but the embodiment of life, stability, and fertility. Gaia represented the physical world itself, the nurturing foundation upon which everything else would come to exist. From her, mountains would rise, seas would swell, and the very structure of the cosmos would be laid out. Unlike the formless void of chaos, Gaia had substance, form, and presence. She was the mother of all creation, the first entity to carry life and structure within her being. One of Gaia's first acts of creation was to give birth to Uranus, the sky, who would cover her like a protective dome. Together, Gaia and Uranus formed the first great cosmic couple, the union of earth and sky. This pairing symbolized the natural order: Gaia as the foundation, fertile and strong, and Uranus as the vast, overarching expanse that contained and completed her. From their union, other natural formations emerged. Mountains rose like pillars of her body, rivers flowed like veins across her surface, and seas pooled like her lifeblood. Gaia was not only a mother to gods but also to the physical world itself, making her a unique and unparalleled figure in Greek mythology. Gaia's children were extraordinary and diverse, each representing fundamental forces of nature. Among them were the Titans, immense beings whose strength and power would shape the early cosmos. Titans like Cronus, Rhea, Oceanus, Hyperion, and Iapetus embodied both natural phenomena and archetypal qualities. Some represented celestial elements like the sun, the moon, and the oceans, while others symbolized time, boundaries, and cosmic cycles. The Titans were more than mere children. They were extensions of Gaia's power, living embodiments of the forces that sustain and govern the universe. But Gaia's offspring were not limited to the Titans alone. She also gave birth to the Cyclops, the one-eyed giants of tremendous skill and craftsmanship. These beings would later forge the mighty weapons of gods, including Zeus's thunderbolt, a symbol of divine authority. Gaia also bore the Hecatoncheires, the hundred-handed ones, creatures of unimaginable strength whose multiple arms represented both might and chaos contained. These children reflected the dual nature of Gaia herself. They were creative and constructive, yet their immense power could also be terrifying and uncontrollable. Despite her nurturing role, Gaia's story is not one of simple motherhood and harmony. Her relationship with Uranus quickly became a story of tension and conflict. Uranus, though born of Gaia and devoted to her in some sense, became fearful of the power of their children. The Titans, Cyclops, and Hecatoncheires were so powerful that Uranus began to see them as threats. In an act of cruelty, he imprisoned some of Gaia's children deep within her own womb, hiding them away in Tartarus, the dark abyss below the earth. This act caused great pain and anger for Gaia. She, the nurturing earth, had her own creations trapped and tormented by the very sky she had birthed. This tension marked the beginning of divine conflict in Greek mythology, a theme that would continue for generations. Gaia, determined to protect her children and restore balance, conspired with her youngest titan, Cronus, to overthrow Uranus. She crafted a great sickle and convinced Cronus to use it to castrate his father, an act that would symbolically separate the earth from the sky and establish a new cosmic order. Uranus's defeat allowed Gaia to restore freedom to some of her children and set the stage for the rule of the Titans. Yet even this victory carried consequences. The cycle of conflict between generations of gods had begun, a recurring theme in Greek mythology where creation and destruction, order and chaos, are inextricably linked. Gaia's influence extended beyond her children. She remained a guiding force in the cosmos, a silent presence who shaped events and offered counsel to gods and mortals alike. In myths, she is often invoked as the ultimate maternal figure, representing fertility, wisdom, and the enduring power of nature. Her connection to the earth made her both revered and feared, a reminder that life itself could nurture, sustain, and protect, but also wield power that no god, no matter how mighty, could ignore. In essence, Gaia is the bridge between primordial chaos and ordered creation. From her came the physical world, the first gods, and the mechanisms of the universe. Her story is one of duality, creation and conflict, nurturing and wrath, stability and upheaval. She embodies the idea that life emerges from struggle, that growth often requires challenge, and that the earth itself is both a home and a source of immense power. Understanding Gaia allows us to see how the ancient Greeks viewed the world, not as a passive stage for human action, but as a living, breathing entity, rich with energy, potential, and stories waiting to unfold. From chaos to Gaia, the universe began to take shape, and the stage was set for the rise of the Titans, the epic struggles of the cosmos, and the eventual arrival of the Olympian gods who would inherit and reshape the world. Gaia's story reminds us that the earth itself is the first mother, the eternal foundation, and the enduring force behind all creation, a truth the ancient Greeks honored in myth, ritual, and imagination. After Gaia, the living earth, gave birth to Uranus, the vast sky, a union of profound cosmic significance was formed. Together, Gaia and Uranus became the progenitors of the first generation of gods and cosmic beings, the Titans. These were not ordinary gods. They were colossal, powerful, and awe-inspiring, embodying forces of nature and the fundamental principles of the universe itself. The Titans represented the raw, untamed energy of creation, immense, eternal, and almost incomprehensible in their scope. Among the most notable Titans were Cronus, the youngest but the most cunning; Rhea, a goddess of fertility and motherhood; Oceanus, the personification of the great, encircling river that the Greeks believed surrounded the world; Hyperion, the embodiment of the sun and celestial light; and Iapetus, associated with mortality and the human condition. Each Titan carried within them aspects of the cosmos, linking natural phenomena, divine authority, and the archetypal qualities that would influence generations of gods and mortals alike. Their very existence demonstrated the Greeks' understanding of the universe as both ordered and chaotic, a realm where immense power could both sustain and threaten creation. Yet, even in this early stage of existence, conflict arose. Uranus, despite being the father and partner of Gaia, became fearful of the Titans' growing power. The sheer magnitude of their strength and potential made him anxious, and he feared that they could challenge his authority or upset the cosmic balance. To prevent this, Uranus committed an act that would set the stage for one of mythology's first major divine conflicts. He imprisoned some of his children deep within Gaia herself, hiding them away in Tartarus, the dark, abyssal prison beneath the earth. Among those imprisoned were the Cyclops, whose craftsmanship could rival the gods, and the Hecatoncheires, the hundred-handed ones, whose immense strength and chaotic nature made them virtually unstoppable. This act of cruelty and oppression caused Gaia immense anguish. The earth itself was wounded by the imprisonment of her children. Her nurturing, life-giving nature clashed with the harsh, authoritarian actions of Uranus. She could not allow such suffering to continue and sought a way to restore balance and protect her offspring. From her pain and determination arose the first divine plot against a ruling god, a rebellion that would echo through generations of myth. Gaia devised a plan to overthrow Uranus, entrusting the task to her youngest and most daring titan, Cronus. Cronus, guided and armed by Gaia, used a great sickle to confront his father. In a climactic act of rebellion, he castrated Uranus, separating the sky from the earth. This act was both violent and symbolic. It represented the first major transfer of divine power, the assertion that creation itself could challenge its own authority to establish a new order. The blood and remnants of Uranus, according to the myths, fell upon the earth, giving birth to further entities: the Erinyes, Furies, spirits of vengeance; the giants, embodiments of raw, untamed power; and the Meliae, the ash tree nymphs. Even in destruction, creation continued, a testament to the cyclical and transformative nature of the universe. With Uranus defeated and his oppressive rule ended, the Titans assumed control over the cosmos. This era, often called the Golden Age, was marked by abundance, stability, and relative harmony. The Titans ruled the earth and the heavens, setting the stage for the eventual rise of the Olympians. However, the seeds of future conflict were already planted. Cronus himself, having overthrown his father, would later face fear and paranoia, haunted by prophecies that he too would be overthrown by his own children. This recurring theme, the struggle between generations of gods, the tension between power and succession, became a defining aspect of Greek mythology. The story of Uranus and the Titans teaches profound lessons about the nature of power, fear, and creation. It illustrates that even gods are not immune to the dynamics of authority and rebellion. Gaia's role in this narrative highlights the Earth not merely as a passive stage for divine action, but as a living, sentient force capable of influencing events, guiding outcomes, and defending life itself. Her intervention shows that creation and protection are inseparable and that the forces of the natural world, embodied in the Titans, carry both the potential for order and the threat of chaos. Ultimately, the tale of Uranus and the Titans is more than just a story of family conflict among gods. It is a cosmic drama, a reflection of the ancient Greeks' understanding of the universe as a dynamic and sometimes dangerous place, where creation, power, rebellion, and transformation are deeply intertwined. It lays the groundwork for the next generation of myths, the rise of the Olympians, the Titanomachy, and the eternal dance between order and chaos that continues to captivate audiences to this day. After the fall of Uranus, the Titans emerged as the new rulers of the cosmos. Under their reign began what the ancient Greeks called the Golden Age, a mythical era of balance, abundance, and peace. During this time, the world flourished. The earth yielded its bounty freely, the seas were calm, and the skies shone with eternal light. There was no war, no suffering, no need for laws or punishment, because harmony existed naturally. The Titans, led by Cronus, ruled over this world not with tyranny, but with a sense of cosmic order inherited from Gaia, the Great Mother. Cronus, the youngest Titan who had overthrown his father Uranus, became the king of the Titans. His rule symbolized the peak of the Titans' power and the stability of the cosmos. Alongside him ruled Rhea, his sister and consort, the gentle mother goddess who embodied fertility and nurturing. Together, they presided over an age where gods and mortals lived in unity. Humanity, according to legend, was born during this golden age, living simple yet fulfilled lives, untouched by the corruption or toil that would come later. The rivers ran with clear waters, crops grew without need for plowing, and the seasons remained in perfect harmony. Yet, as is often the case in myth, even the most perfect era carries within it the seeds of its own downfall. Though Cronus had freed his siblings and brought an end to Uranus's cruelty, he too began to be consumed by fear, the same fear that had once driven his father. It was prophesied that, just as Cronus had overthrown Uranus, one of Cronus's own children would one day rise up to overthrow him. This prophecy, whispered by Gaia and Uranus themselves, haunted him deeply. Terrified of losing his throne, Cronus took a dark and desperate path. Each time Rhea gave birth to one of their children, Cronus swallowed the newborn whole, believing that by doing so he could prevent the prophecy from being fulfilled. His children, Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon, were all devoured one by one. To the other Titans, this act symbolized not strength but madness. It showed how even the mightiest rulers could be enslaved by their own fear of fate. Rhea, heartbroken and desperate to save her youngest child, devised a plan. When she gave birth to Zeus, she hid the infant in a cave on the island of Crete and gave Cronus a stone wrapped in cloth instead. Thinking it was his son, Cronus swallowed the stone without hesitation. Zeus grew up in secret, nurtured by divine caretakers and protected by Gaia herself. When he reached adulthood, Zeus confronted his father and forced him to regurgitate his swallowed siblings, freeing them from their long imprisonment. Together, they would form a new generation of gods, the Olympians, and prepare to challenge the old order. What followed was one of the most monumental conflicts in Greek mythology, the Titanomachy, the war between the Titans and the Olympians. For 10 long years, the heavens and earth trembled as brother fought brother, son battled father, and the very fabric of creation shook under their might. The Titans, led by Cronus, fought with the strength of the old world, ancient, raw, and unyielding. The Olympians, led by Zeus, fought with the power of lightning, strategy, and divine will. In the end, Zeus and his siblings triumphed, aided by the Cyclops and the Hundred-Handed Ones, whom Zeus had freed from their ancient prison in Tartarus. The Titans who had stood against the Olympians were cast down and imprisoned in Tartarus themselves, bound in chains and guarded by the Hecatoncheires. Only a few titans, like Oceanus and Prometheus, avoided punishment due to their neutrality or assistance to Zeus. With their fall, the age of the Titans ended, and the age of the Olympians began. The legacy of the Titans, however, did not vanish. They remained symbols of primordial power, ancient wisdom, and the cyclical nature of existence. The Greeks saw in their story a reflection of an eternal truth, that creation and destruction, order and chaos, rise and fall, are all parts of the same cosmic rhythm. The fall of the Titans was not simply a tale of defeat, but a necessary transformation, a passing of the torch from one generation of divine forces to the next. Through their myths, the Titans explained the origins of the gods, but also something far deeper: the nature of the universe and of humanity itself. The endless cycle of rebellion and renewal mirrored human life. The struggle against limits, the pursuit of power, the fear of losing control, and the inevitable change that time brings. Cronus, the Titan of Time, embodied this perfectly. His rule represented the inevitability of time's passage, how even the strongest must one day be replaced, how every age, no matter how golden, must give way to a new one. The ancient Greeks understood that the stories of their gods were not merely tales of divine beings but reflections of cosmic and human truth. The Titans represented the raw, untamed forces of nature, the mountains, oceans, storms, and the great unknown. The Olympians, by contrast, represented order, culture, and civilization, a new world shaped by reason and divine law. The transition from the rule of the Titans to the reign of the Olympians symbolized humanity's own evolution from chaos toward structure, from instinct toward consciousness. Thus, the legacy of the Titans endures not as villains or failures, but as foundations of the cosmos, the ancient architects of existence upon whose shoulders the gods, and even humanity, stand. Their era may have ended, but their influence continues to echo through every myth, every story of power and downfall, every reflection on the cycles of time. From chaos came Gaia, from Gaia came the Titans, and from the Titans came the gods. Each generation shaping, challenging, and redefining the world, just as we do in our own human way. From chaos to Gaia, and from the Titans to Zeus, Greek mythology is full of stories that explain how the world came to be and why power struggles shape both gods and humans alike. Which Titan do you find most fascinating? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more tales from the ancient world. See you on the next video.